Hi friends, my name is Shannon and welcome to my channel, Shannon the Fifth. On this channel, we talk about all things womanhood, from wellness to motherhood to intimacy to career. We talk about it here. So if those are the types of conversations you like to hear and to be a part of this journey as I build a brand from conception to maturity, then grab a seat. Let's talk. Yeah, let's kick it off. So, a couple of things. I have a new setup. This is video number 2, so I'm still expecting a few problems as I figure this all out, but I'm so proud of myself for continuing this journey. If you haven't yet, video 1 is on the channel, and like I said, there's a disclaimer there. The quality doesn't represent the Virgo in me, but I had to do it in order to make progress and to see this thing through. There were 100 times I wanted to quit on that particular video, from shooting it to editing it, and I didn't want to put it out there. But I knew that if I didn't, that I was going to give myself another excuse not to keep pursuing this and not to keep doing this. And that's not what this channel is about, you know? This is about progress, making progress, discovering something new in myself as I pivot through a couple of different areas of my life, and hopefully inspiring you to do the same. So if you want to go and get the backstory of some things, check out that poor quality video, but still give it a thumbs up, because again, it's about progress, not perfection. But let's get into today's video. All right. So I hope that it doesn't pick up the sound in the back, but it's hot and I had to turn the fan on because, yeah. So let's talk about today's video. I have my notes here, so if you see me looking down, it's to gather my thoughts, because I'm a storyteller through and through, so I can get long-winded, and my goal is to, of course, tell you a great story and bring you into the fold, but try not to bore you. So I'm looking at my notes here, and today this is the second part of my pivot journey. As I mentioned in my first video, I am going through a multi-phase or multi-part pivot. I am pivoting with my health and fitness. I am pivoting in my career. I'm pivoting with my family. I'm pivoting with some long-term goals. Like, there's a lot going on. And as I'm pivoting, I'm researching things and preparing my mind and my spirit to go through that, because it is a challenging experience, especially for a woman, especially for a Black woman, especially for a Black woman in her 40s. This is a very critical time for me. But there's a quote that I came across, 2 quotes actually, that kind of have me thinking a little bit differently about this pivot, and not being so hard on myself about it. So the first quote, I'm going to look at it directly so that I say it right, is, well, it's not a direct quote, I paraphrased it, but in your 20s, you learn, in your 30s, you earn, in your 40s, you own, and in your 50s, you enjoy. Okay. So I think that was taken from Purdue, the guy Purdue, the chicken man. I think that's who he is. But it was taken from him. And what I like about that is that it does compartmentalize different developmental parts of your life, you know, and saying that in your 20s, you learn. I can agree with that. In your 30s, you earn. I can agree with that. In your 40s, you own. Yep. And in your 50s, you enjoy. So that's great. But according to this quote, after your 50s, what do? Like, you know, what's left? What is left of your journey and what's left of your story? So I like that quote. But then there's another quote by Mr. Denzel Washington himself that I really like as well. And it doesn't end my story in my 50s. So he said, the first part of your life you learn, the second part of your life you earn, and the third part of your life you return. Okay. So what I like about that is that I agree, in your 20s, you are learning, you are experimenting with life, and you are letting life happen. You don't really understand consequence yet. That frontal lobe isn't there. I got that. And the second part of your life, you earn. That follows along with what Purdue was saying about earning in your 30s. I don't know if that's the second part of your life. I don't know. Denzel doesn't break it down in ages. He breaks it down in parts. Okay. So that's the difference between the two. But there is a part of your life where you are earning. You have figured out how to make money. You have figured out how to spend money. You have figured out finances in terms of what works, what doesn't work. And in a lot of cases, you might be, toggling back and forth between stability and instability in terms of your finances. And then in the third part of your life, you return. So, according to Denzel, I'm not sure if that means returning what others have given to you. So, is that reciprocity? Are you being reciprocal? Or are you saying like return to the earth as in ashes? I'm hoping not. But what I find interesting in both of those quotes is that with Purdue, he's saying in your 50s you enjoy. Denzel is saying in the third part of your life you return. And all of that is about having some level of stability and comfort that allows you to either enjoy or to start giving back more. So I'd like to say I'm in the second part of my life, where I'm earning. And earning is subjective, right? So earning can be earning financially. Earning could be working hard for something and getting as much as you give into it. What you put in is what you get out. It could be that. And what I found interesting also about Purdue and saying you own, I wondered, was that ownership as in possession, or is it ownership as in accountability? So for him, according to him, I'm in my 40s, I should be owning. I do own. I own properties, I own possessions, I own copyrights, I own intellectual property, I own a lot of things. Am I owning in terms of accountability? I'm accountable for the mistakes that I've made. I'm accountable for how I treat others. I think I'm someone who is self accountable, and I allow others to make me accountable. So I own up to things. I'm not quite sure what Purdue meant by ownership, whether that's a maturity thing or a possession thing, and how that relates to earning. Like, what you put out is what you get in, or what you get in is what you put out, or you're earning, you're reaping what you sow. I'm not quite sure how all of that adds up, but it synchronizes, it makes sense. And as I'm in this pivot, I'm absorbing that type of information to help me navigate through this. All right. So, as I mentioned in my first video, which ironically was published on my 42nd birthday. I'm 42. Yeeks. I'm scared as I pivot. I wasn't always this fearful with taking risks, with changing my mind, with spinning on my toes at the last minute. I wasn't always this fearful. Turning 42, or should I just say in my 40s, I don't know, the game changed. The game changed once I turned 40. Like fear, or I can't really say it's fear. I need to find a word for that. Discomfort. I mentioned that in my last video. I'm not sure if that's the word either, but that feeling settled in, and it just kind of took over a lot of different things. And so at 42 years old in this pivot, I do find myself scared, if I'm being honest. There are things that I'm working towards, in terms of the accolades that I want to have, the ideal body, what that looks like, the ideal bank account number, what that looks like. And for me, being an entrepreneur full time, that's what I want to continue to do. And I think in this journey, I am fearful until I find the synonym I really want to use for that word. Is it still going to happen? Like, I know it's never too late. I know, relatively I'm pretty young, but when you reach a certain point in your life and you have not hit the mark on certain things, you start to wonder if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, what have you done wrong to not make those things happen, and what do you need to proactively pursue in order for those things to happen. And I think within this pivot, one of the things that scares me the most is I feel, I see, I pray about a lot of things, and I'm not fully clear on the answers of what it takes to make that thing happen. But what I also know about this time in my life is that the decision to pivot, while it has been the scariest decision of my life to be uprooted and to also blow up my life, while those things are both true, it is the best decision I've made. To purposely walk in the pivot, to walk in the direction of fear and uncertainty and discomfort, and know that things will become clearer. To know that I have already been prepared and equipped to handle this next phase of my life. I was just telling my young son, who is experiencing some anxiety when it comes to school. He's a freshman in high school, and he has a lot of anxiety about the pressures of being in high school, like we all did. And he's wondering if he has the chops to do certain things and to be the person he wants to be. And one of the things I told him, and I was like, God knew this day was coming for you a long time ago. And because he knew this day was coming for you a long time ago, where you would have anxiety, where you would be nervous and fearful, where you would doubt yourself, he already put into play everything that you need to be prepared for this moment. You are well equipped. You are well prepared for this moment. You just have to activate it. And that's the part that makes things scary, or makes them seem much bigger than they actually are, is that self-activation. And so for me, as I'm going through this pivot of changing my career and changing my lifestyle and changing how my finances operate, all of those different things all at once, I think what I have to remember is that I was prepared for all of this. God knew this day was coming and prepared me through practice, through dreams, through scripture, through interactions with people, through changes in location, through all those things. God has already prepared me for this moment that I'm feeling and for far beyond. What I'm doing now is preparing me for 10 years in the future, things that I don't see and I don't know. I am actively being prepared and practicing for those things. So while the humanness in me is fearful, oh, I can't wait to find another word. If you know another word for fearful, not a synonym, like duh, I can pick up the source to find the synonym for fearful. I'm looking for a a word that represents the same feeling, but not necessarily the same feeling. Okay, if you know one, drop it in the comments. If you hear this and you're like, oh, I know what she's talking about, put that in the comments. But as I'm moving in this new direction with this fearful feeling that I have to remember that I have to activate all the things that have already been placed in me. I have to activate those things so that I can navigate through this without hurting myself and hindering myself and causing myself not to reach my fullest potential. So while I'm pivoting, and I'm uncertain and I'm unclear in some ways, and other ways it's bright as day, this is still the best decision I've made for myself and the legacy I'm trying to build and the family that I have, this is still the best decision that I've made. So, in order to activate that, I think one of the things that I have to do, and maybe I'm encouraging you to do the same thing, is of course a mindset shift, Um, and like I said, activating those things, you can't just open up your body, open up your mind, and press a button and say, activate, go, be the best person. There is proactive work that I have to do, that if you're going through a pivot or a challenging time, you have to do in order for those things to activate within you. And one of the first things I'm saying to myself is, I am 42, not dead. And that can be replaced with, I am 52, not dead, 62, not dead, 72, not dead. Hopefully I ain't dead at those ages. Then I won't be able to say it. But, I am all of these ages, but presently I am 42 and not dead. And that gives me full power and authority to change my mind and change my life. Every day that I wake up is another chance to figure it all out, to gain clarity about a certain situation, to strengthen myself internally and externally. I'm not dead. And that's powerful. I am living, but I'm not dead. That mindset of saying, wow, God saw fit to wake you up today and give you another chance to figure this out. Take the day to figure it out. Go and do all the things, the menial tasks that you have to do. But more importantly, figure out how to activate those things within you so that you can reach your fullest potential. The other thing I want to remember in this mindset shift is that it wasn't wasted time. What did I put? It wasn't wasted time. It was preparation. So all of the things that I may be chalking up to mistakes or failures or setbacks, challenges, all of that was preparation for where I'm going. If I stay in the mindset of I failed, I messed up, I made a mistake, that was a setback, I won't make progress, because I can live in that space for a very long time of the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And I'm really trying to make progress. And in order to do that, I have to look at those missteps as preparation for the next step. So that's my mindset shift going forward. The next thing is something I took from my therapist a while ago, and saying that life is cyclical, not linear. Right? There is no straight line this way or straight line this way that kind of determines our life. And what goes around comes around. So you might find yourself revisiting some of the same people, places, things multiple times. Take the practice of all of those times when it comes back around and implement what you learned in that space. Hopefully you don't repeat the same bad mistakes, but if you repeat something, you now have the tools from the first time that you had the preparation, the practice. Now you know what to do in order not to repeat it, so it doesn't hit you or hurt you the same way. By you, I mean me. I'm talking to me. I'm talking to you too, but I'm talking to me, right? It's not linear, it's cyclical. It's going to come back around. And when it does, take what you've learned, take what you've experienced, and apply it to that situation so you can grow from it and grow through it. So the next thing is something I came up with. I don't know if this quote is already out there, but I'm gonna claim it if it's not. Is grace heals and punishment kills, right? I often give everyone grace but myself. I punish myself for the things that I've done wrong or the things I overlooked. And that's part of that perfectionism thing that is instilled in me from I don't know where. But grace heals and punishment kills. And so what I mean by that is giving myself grace allows me to heal the negative feelings or the sorrowful feelings that I have about a situation or where I am currently. Giving myself grace for that allows me to move through that and to comfort myself, to self-soothe, and allow others to pour into me to soothe me. But punishment kills that. Punishment says, you were wrong, you need to learn from this, and you're not going to go until you feel the pain of what you've done. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to punish myself. I don't want to be punished by anyone. So I need to activate the mindset of grace for myself, especially in this pivot, especially in this period of my life. Like, that has to be a thing for me. And then finally, what I'm establishing in this mindset, as I still call this the scariest yet best decision I've made for myself, it's something, a quote from a song from Lauryn Hill. And so she says, "What you want might make you cry. What you need might pass you by if you don't catch it." And what I get from that, besides it being a love song or anything like that, is the things that you want. What I wanted for myself so bad eventually wound up literally making me cry. It wasn't what was necessarily best for me. Not all of those things were necessarily best for me, and they brought some level of sorrow. But what I needed was running parallel with what I wanted. But I was so focused on what I wanted that I overlooked what I needed, and I hopped off the track right in time so that it didn't pass me by. I had to catch it, right? So I think that's what I'm saying to myself is, laser focus is great, but peripheral is there for a reason. So focus on the things that you want. Make an active list of the things that you want, but pay attention, keep your head on a swivel, because the things that you need are running parallel with that. And if you're not paying attention, it's going to pass you by. I also believe that what is meant for you is meant for you and will not pass you by. But in that whole cyclical life journey, how long is it going to take for it to come back around? I don't know if y'all remember, but back in the day, there used to be a buffet called Horn and Horn. I don't know if it's regional or not, but Horn and Horn was a spinning buffet, right? So if you got up there and you got your plate and you wanted mac and cheese and you missed it, you could either chase it around this big circle that went through the back of the kitchen and no one could see what was going on as they refilled the pan, or you would have to wait till it came back around. And if there were a lot of people in front of you, there's a chance the pan could come back around empty, or it could be full. You never knew. But the point was, it passed you by if you didn't catch it at the right time, and you had to wait for it to come around. What I don't want to happen is that because I was too laser focused, too lineal, that I wasn't using peripheral, and the things that I needed in my life passed me by, and now I have to wait for that smorgasbord to circle back around to me, and pray that I'm in the space, in the place to receive it. And then, was those all my lessons? Yeah, those are all my lessons. What I'm learning in making the best decision through the scariest time is, again, like I said, I'm primed and I'm prepped for this, but now I'm taking more calculated steps. I'm being more mindful of the actions that I take. I'm taking into consideration Purdue's quote and Denzel's quote, and realizing that this phase of life that I'm in is meant to teach things to me and activate things within me as I conquer this phase of my life, but also prepare for the next. So that's where I am with my pivot. This wound up being a yap, but hey, that's what we're going to do here. I want to talk to y'all about what this pivot is. I want to make that announcement. It's coming up soon, but if you follow me on other channels, especially Instagram, you kind of already know what that pivot is. But if not, you want to remain in suspense and you kind of like this version of me announcing the pivots, the behind the scenes of the pivot, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment here on this channel. Let me know how you're navigating your pivots. And also let me know what you think about this quote. Which one do you agree with? Purdue or Denzel's? Mr. Washington. I'm going to go name and name. Purdue or Mr. Washington's quote about the phases of life, your 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that, again, you like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Follow me through this journey as I pivot and own this pivot. So I will see you in the video. I will see you in the next video. Talk soon. Bye.